Greetings and salutations. I trust I find you all well. It's been a while since I've been active online, so forgive me if my wheels are a little bit rusty today. But I thought I'll do a quick video, quick catch up and update, just informing you of where we are at as a community, where I am at in my own personal process. And but I'll start off by first introducing somebody who's been part of the family from a distance for a while and has recently come to join us. Welcome, Ambrose.
Thanks.
You want to introduce yourself, where you're from? And
Yeah. My name is Ambrose, also Ambrosio or Ambrosius. I've been following the whole journey, going on almost maybe 5 years since it's really begun. I come from the United States, and everything from start to finish has resonated, and I was able to create the momentum to make the necessary moves to join this community and to embody the tenets of this community as well. So it's an honor to be here. I feel like it's a great time to be here as well, and a powerful time. So give thanks.
Give thanks, brother. Welcome to the family, welcome to the community. And I'm looking forward to all the great works that we're going to do in the space.
Absolutely.
I just thought I'd do a quick update. First of all, the girls are back home. Royale and Ether returned home yesterday after 6 months in the system, so to speak. We've all just been celebrating and breathing a sigh of relief. They're back home safely, pretty much, intact, mentally, emotionally, physically. So we're just giving thanks for that.
Yeah. Now that they are home, what do you see around the bend in terms of your works and for the community?
Yeah, I mean, a big part of it is, like we always said, we're on a journey as a community. Well, first of all, individually, as souls inside these bodies, experiencing life. We're on a journey of experiencing, learning, growing, and evolving through that. So I replicate that with the community. As a community, where we're doing things, we're putting things into action and trying things with that spirit of wanting to experience, wanting to learn from our experiences, growing from those experiences, and then evolving into the next phase. So you'll never hear me complaining, really, especially for where I'm at now, about what is and has been happening to us, because it's not happening to us, it's actually happening for us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We called out to be self-determined. We put out that call, we've put out that action to be self-determined, to figure things out for ourselves, to walk this journey.
Yep.
And we knew it was never going to be an easy journey, obviously, because when you're trying to break free from something that you feel you do not align with anymore, and that something that you're not in alignment anymore is so powerful and has its grips on you, the moment you try, or the moment you put your energy into shifting away from that, you will receive some sort of resistance. Yes. Obviously. And this is seen throughout time in history. Every mystic, every philosopher, every country has gone through that. Portugal went through this many times throughout its different revolutions and different evolutions and rebirths. So right now the world is going through that rebirth, as we know. This great reset everyone's talking about. There's a massive shift that is happening. So we're not, isolated in that. What we're going through is multiplied in what other people are going through in their own homes, here in Portugal and all over the world as well. So to answer your question, what's next is we keep going. We keep learning from the experience that we're in, and we keep growing from those experiences, and we keep evolving, moment to moment, growing in the wisdom of change.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you're doing is so definite that it is drawing out I would say, the maximum resistance.
Yeah, and this isn't to demonize the system, so to speak. One thing I've always got to remind myself is that anything that brings out a resistance to anything that you're doing out of pure intent and pure love, and you're following intuition, and you're met with resistance, whether it's from somebody else, whether it's from a system, whether it's from an organization, whether it's from whatever it is, that resistance that's coming at you is a test.
Yes.
Yeah? It's a test of resolve. It's a test to actually see how determined you are, how strong you are, how focused you are, how centered you are. And the biggest obstacle, or the biggest pitfall really, that most people fall for is not being centered, right? Becoming sovereign, in inverted commas, or becoming self-determined, or freeing yourself in whatever scope or dimension you talk about, isn't about fighting per se. There's this perception that we have to fight for our rights, we have to fight for our freedom. It's about, in my opinion, it's about expressing your desire, and when you express that desire, there might be resistance, and most likely there will be resistance from someone who doesn't agree and is more powerful than you in that moment. And at that moment, you have a choice. You either fight back, you come back with resistance, or you center yourself and you allow that moment to shape itself. But you've expressed yourself. You've put out your expression. So for instance, my grandmother always used to say, I just thought about this the other day, and this has been in my subconscious, I'm realizing now, it's always better to apologize than it is to ask for permission. It's much better to say, I'm sorry I made a mistake, than it is to say, please can I do this. So when your heart tells you something and your intentions are pure, and you're doing it purely with the right intentions, do it. Just do it. As long as you're not harming anybody else, just do it. And sometimes you'll make mistakes. In fact, more than often you'll make mistakes. I've made many mistakes. This community has made many mistakes, as has everybody else in the world. But because I've made those mistakes, I've grown. I'm wiser. I'm stronger. I'm more determined. I know more about myself. I know more about the world. So I give thanks to the resistance that comes my way, that tests me. And in those moments of test, I have to always be reminding myself, to have the strength to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And sometimes you get it wrong, sometimes you get it right. So this is where I'm at in terms of my spiritual journey and my philosophy and my way of life and my ideology and how I'm seeing the world at the moment, which is not much from where I was before, but I've got a bit more experience now, having been in the beast, in the system. Being in courtrooms, dealing with social services, dealing with government officials, dealing with legal documents, and all these sometimes very daunting things that are there to really push the boundaries of your patience, push the boundaries of your determination, of your free will. And you've got to be able to pass those tests, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And you do that through observation, through patience, through diligence, through wisdom, and not through fighting at all. We've always got to be as centered as possible.
And during that process, did you ever reach times where you felt you toppled into the pure fight? Or was it always just an observation of...
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Naturally. Some of you may have seen some of my tantrums over this, especially at the beginning, maybe not. But I had one or two moments where I wobbled. Some people have said to me, well, you looked pretty calm. But for me, that's a big wobble. I was very emotional.
Yep.
And I succumbed to my emotions at times. There are times I've been angry, really angry. There are times I've been disappointed. There are times I've been hopeless. I felt hopeless. I felt like, there are times I've had regret. I felt like, am I doing the right thing? I start questioning myself. Doubt. But that's all part of the journey. You've got to go through those emotions and those thoughts and those processes.
Yes.
It's part of the shedding
Yes.
of your ego, first of all. It's part of the shedding of the layers of programming,
Yep.
fear-based programming that runs the world pretty much, and stepping into your sovereignty. So yes, absolutely. I've had many of those moments where I've fallen off and I thought I might not get up again. I want to give up, or I think I don't want to do this anymore.
Really.
Absolutely. But that's what's great about being in a community, you see. Had I been on my own with my family, for sure, I'd have gone, I can't deal with this.
Right.
But having a community, having a family, having that togetherness, when I'm down, somebody else in the community will pick me up and go, brother, remember, remember who you are.
Yeah.
Remember what we are. Remember what this is.
Yes.
Yeah, remember what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't give up. Keep your head up. Keep your chest up. Be calm. Be centered. Be focused. Remember what the vision is.
Yes.
And in the times where I've been emotional, maybe in a negative way, where I've been angry or something, again, someone to calm me down and say, just calm down. You don't need, again, you're in your emotions. Just let's have a quick meditation, or you need to eat some food. You need to ground.
Yep.
Or just give me perspective. So it's great to have a community to do that. And I want to take this opportunity really to just thank and congratulate Royale and Ether, because 6 months in an institution being held, that's a long time.
Absolutely.
And under extenuating circumstances, which I won't get into, but they were put under a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, and they never broke. Ether didn't break, Royale didn't break, not mentally, not emotionally, not physically. They remained centered and strong, and and they've come back even stronger than they were before.
Absolutely.
So that's just testament to the work that we had done beforehand, I guess, or they had done beforehand.
Yes.
Even before going in, the spiritual work. So I'm really grateful to have a family that is so loyal, so centered, so focused, so in love, so in trust of one another. And I'm really proud. I've never been so proud in my life and so happy in my life to be a part of a family than I am now. So everyone in the community, everybody, Shakti, the boys have been fantastic. They're in school now. Shakti's been doing really well, as people have seen online, I guess.
Absolutely.
Those who've been following us. Ritmo, Yazen, Aiden. That's everyone at the moment.
Yeah.
So I just give thanks to the family, and we keep that fire burning.
Yes. And like you said too, just about if you're not harming anyone and you know it to be true in your heart or right in your heart, just do it.
Absolutely.
And this whole process of Pineal has been almost like a microcosm of that process, like a shell and a shell and a shell. So first you had, the courage to begin this journey. Now you're really embodying it all the way. And that really resonates for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure, I would say the biggest lesson really of this experience, what I can say I've come out of this 6 months later, not even 6 months, even before that, over the last 4 or 5 years that we've been on this journey, but certainly amplified in the last 6 months with the process that we've been in, is finding that fine balance between your self-determination and the resistance that you're having to face. And there's a shedding of egos that has to happen there. but there's also a standing up for yourself and knowing that balance. And that's where that saying comes from, having the strength to accept the things I cannot change,
Yes.
the courage to change the things that I can, the wisdom to know the difference.
Yes.
Refining that wisdom has been the test for me of knowing when to say, no, I'm not going to budge on this one,
Right.
no matter what. And knowing when to say, do you know what, as much as it hurts me that I have to surrender to this,
Yep.
in this moment in time, I must surrender to this, right? Because in actual fact, is my resistance to what I don't want to surrender to, is that coming from a place of ego?
Right.
Or is that coming from a place where I genuinely feel there's harm being done?
Yes.
So a good one is the future's going to school, ideally, we want to educate our own futures. Of course, we want them to integrate with other futures, the community, but there are many things about the education system itself
Yep.
that I find questionable.
Yes.
And not so much just what they're being taught, but the whole system of children being inside an institution for 8 hours a day
Yes.
with strange people and not their family and their parents, for me is just, it doesn't make any sense
Absolutely.
for me. It should be the other way around.
Yep.
They should be spending 8 hours a day with their families
Yes.
and 2 or 3 hours a day in schools.
Yes.
So, but, when the so-called system comes at you and they're threatening to take the children, take the futures, then the wisdom has to kick in and you have to compromise and say, okay,
Yep.
I'll compromise on this one
Right.
and learn from it and see what safe measures we can put for our futures to ensure that they are not being harmed psychologically
Right.
or mentally or even emotionally
Mm-hmm.
through the schooling system.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying the schooling system is bad per se. There are many great things about the schooling system, but there are many things that we certainly don't agree with. But what I'm saying is, we've had to compromise,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and I was happy to compromise with the state and say, well, I'm happy to get them into school if that's your absolute demand, and I don't really have a choice.
Yep.
I'm happy to surrender to that.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with the medical care as well.
Yep.
Medical care, here in Portugal, they're very proud of their medical system, rightfully, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best healthcare systems in the world. But there are many things about the healthcare system that I don't agree with, and these are just my beliefs and my, but again, there are certain things that the state has mandated that are compulsory, particularly for children. So, again, we've had to surrender to those things, and there are things that we've said absolutely no to. I won't mention the word, but injections and certain drugs, putting too many chemicals into their bodies. I've had to stand up and say absolutely not.
Right.
That is not going to happen. And if it does happen, it's definitely happening it's happening without my consent.
Yes.
So yeah, we reached a compromise,
Mm-hmm.
and we've had to register them with all these different things, with the state, with the schooling system,
Mm-hmm.
with the medical system, and everything else, for the system's state of mind, I guess, for
Yep.
them to feel like they've governed,
Mm-hmm.
they've subjected us, which is okay, which is good, because after all, we are traveling
Mm-hmm.
and we are guests here.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say here, I mean in Portugal, but I also mean on the earth.
Yes.
And sometimes you must compromise with the societies that we live in,
Yes.
even though we're on our journey to carving our own society.
Yes. Exactly.
But it's a journey, it's a process, and we must be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So in that process, when did it actually hit you that, okay, I need to find this balance?
No, I've kind of always known that.
You have, okay.
Yeah, I've always known that there's always a balance to, your self-determination and the society that you live in.
Mm-hmm.
And we've tried our best to do that in this community. But like I said, sometimes it's better to try something first and then apologize for it later.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But to follow your conviction and do it first.
Yes.
So, that's what I've done. And sometimes you will do something and follow your heart, knowing that I could get in trouble for this.
Yep.
Yeah. I could get into resistance, not even trouble, into resistance.
Yes.
From outside factors that don't agree.
Yes.
With what I'm doing for whatever reasons. And sometimes you take that leap of faith. Yeah, and you do it because it's your conviction, it's what you believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the wisdom is, if and when that resistance comes, you must not be in that state of wanting to fight to hold on to it, because that's the ego now.
Yes.
You must be able to say, okay, fine, and sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes resistance doesn't come your way. And actually it's like, oh wow, I followed my intuition, I followed what I was doing, and actually the doors have opened up for us.
Yep.
And we're prospering and we're moving forward. And there are things in the community that we've done, many things in the community that we've done that really are on that side of things. In fact, more so.
Yes.
But those things aren't as celebrated.
Right.
It's the smaller things, I guess,
Yep.
that make the most noise.
Yes.
The negativity is always louder than the positivity. The positive is not shouted about as much as the negative, especially by external factors. So when I look at the positive things that we've done, when I speak to people who've lived here, who've visited here, who've gained whatever they've gained, even whether it's online, whether it's in person, I'm reassured that we're on the right path, and a lot of people see value
Yes.
in what we're doing and where we're going. They see value in the vision and the ideology of the society that we're carving out.
Yeah.
So that's a really nice reminder to everybody else who's out there, and a big thank you to everyone who's been supportive. Certainly from a distance. It's really good to have that support system.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the biggest part about the the illusion almost pulling you back in, or the ego, like you said, the fear. It's really just about where you're at personally on your journey. That determines the outcome, right? So yeah, it's amazing to see that there's so many people,
Yeah.
that support,
Yeah.
locals that support,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely. And it's been great. It's been interesting. It's been an interesting journey, because when all this kicked off with the media, particularly here in Portugal, the community, the media obviously did their best to portray us
Yes.
as dangerous people, as in this light that is really dark and dangerous.
Yeah. Yep.
Despite our hospitality, we let them in, we answered their questions.
Yeah.
We were open. We're an open community. We've never really hidden anything from anyone. We've been honest about everything and open about everything. So despite that, the system using the media went out of their way to really tarnish our reputation.
Yes.
And our image, and destroy us that way, destroy us by public opinion.
Yes.
And those few weeks were pretty intense.
Yeah.
We had people in the streets who didn't want to serve us sometimes, in shops. We had people giving us dirty looks, just negative energy coming at us wherever we went.
Yes.
But we knew that that's part of it. You're never ever gonna overcome anything if you're not willing to go through those moments.
Yes.
Of persecution before you can get your freedom.
Exactly.
Whether that freedom is material, externally, or even internally, but especially internally.
Yes.
And that's what Pineal is more about. It's about the internal sovereignty, the internal freedom. The physical, if that manifests in this lifetime, fantastic. If it doesn't, it's not that material. It's not real anyway.
Yeah.
It's the inner.
Right.
But it's been interesting to see that journey and that progression from when we began, how they portrayed us, to us then being raided.
Yep.
In the way we were raided.
Yep.
To how we were dragged into the court systems, and how we were treated, and how we've handled ourselves very gracefully.
Yes.
Very, very gracefully. Whether we're in courts, whether in the schools, in the hospitals, we've been polite, we've been graceful. Just, as part of the Pineal culture, always be polite and always be graceful.
Yes.
And that's how royalty behaves. Regardless of what someone else is doing to you, stay in your center and have respect
Yes.
and try and treat others the way you'd like to be treated as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
But also at the same time, stand in your truth as much as you can.
Yes.
So it's been interesting to see that progression, to seeing how the locals um, have changed their perceptions.
Yes.
We're much closer now to the locals than we were before,
Mm-hmm.
because once they got to speak to us in the streets, once they've seen how we've conducted ourselves through this, there's a little bit of a level of respect
Yes.
that is then earned through that.
Mm-hmm.
And in our efforts of us going out there and making sure that we see ourselves, we've not hidden, we've not shied away.
Yep.
We're going to markets, we're going to shops, we speak to people. Even in the schools, we go to these school functions and we show ourselves and we answer questions, and and make everyone feel at ease about what it is we're doing and who we are and why we're doing it,
Yes.
in as much of a respectful manner as possible.
Yes.
So it's been great to see that transition and how the public perception, in my opinion, is positively changing.
Yes.
The more we go through this process,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. And even the futures, Kundai and Farai at school, Shakti spoke to their principal the other day. And the principal, she said she's amazed at how well behaved they are.
Mm-hmm.
The teachers are always saying they wish that all the children were like the Pineal futures.
That's awesome.
So it's always good to hear that. It shows that we're doing something correct,
Yes.
And they've gone into the system, and
Uh-huh.
the teachers are going, wow, these futures are absolutely amazing.
Yes.
It shows that our community, we're on the right track.
Yes.
We're on the right track.
Absolutely.
And same with social services. At the beginning of this, they made some scathing reports about us,
Mhm.
out of fear
Mm-hmm.
and out of the rumors that they heard. And the most recent report, was beautiful. We have the parents are great parents, and we have no issues about the community. The children are safe, and it was just a beautiful report. So when you look at the first report that they wrote,
Mm-hmm.
and 6 months later the report that they've written now, after
Yep.
they've actually done the investigations and they've looked into it,
Yep.
there's nothing to fear. We're
Yes.
good people. We're responsible in as much as we can, but we're self-determined, and that comes with a price sometimes, which is sometimes you will make mistakes.
Yes.
Yeah, and through those mistakes, you grow from them. There's no way you can get into anything new without that risk of you making certain mistakes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now how about for media coverage? Is that something you guys would like to kind of keep at a minimum for now, or are you open to welcoming more based on how it went last time?
I think it's a moment-to-moment thing,
Mm-hmm.
really. I think the mainstream media, certainly here in Portugal, is like every else in the world. It's all controlled,
Yes.
in my opinion. Yeah.
Agreed.
So the mainstream media is always going to have an agenda, and its agenda is to protect a particular interest.
Yes.
There is, in my opinion, I don't know, but in my opinion, there's no impartial or unbiased mainstream media here in Portugal or anywhere in the world for that matter, as far
Mhm.
as I know.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the mainstream media goes, I'm not saying I'm close to it, but I'm a lot more cautious than I was before. But like I said, I always try and give everyone and everything the benefit of doubt. I always try and see the good in something. That's why
Yes.
the first time we invited them in
Yes.
with open arms. Because even though I wasn't naive
Mm-hmm.
to think that, mainstream media don't twist things and create narratives, I knew that there was a possibility that they would do that, or probability.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to act in fear. I really wanted to give that opportunity to the mainstream media to say, come in,
Yes.
have a look at what we're doing.
Right.
We'll share our story, and let's build a relationship from there.
Yes.
And obviously they had different agendas and they did what they did, so we're not so keen on that.
Mm-hmm.
But we're speaking to a few documentary companies that are making documentaries about community living,
Mm-hmm.
about the lifestyle, about our philosophy, about spiritual journey. So there are some production companies that we're kind of in talks with,
Okay.
and just moment to moment. We're not going to rush into anything
Mm-hmm.
just yet. There's still a process that is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So in respect to that as well, we want to just make sure that we navigate that space as wisely as possible,
Yes.
as respectfully as possible.
Yes. And of course they would expect you to, originally, when they first came, to, close the gates and, go away, keep your space confined. But by welcoming them in, those who have eyes to see now have
Yep.
seen.
Yeah, I mean, when you live in truth and you've got nothing to hide, then why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
You know, I have absolutely nothing to hide or be ashamed of
Mm-hmm.
or be guilty of, because everything that I've done, moment to moment, has always been from my heart
Mm-hmm.
and from my own conviction. I've truly believed in every decision that I've
Yes.
made. And some of those decisions might be seen as questionable by some people, or strange,
Mm-hmm.
or scary, or
Mhm.
different, and that's fine, you know. But I must follow my own conviction
Yes.
in as much as I can, until otherwise someone comes with a gun, as they did here,
Yes.
and points it at my children's and you know, and my partner's, you know, direction.
Mm-hmm.
Then okay, I'll compromise then.
Yes.
But until then, I want to be able to follow my own heart and follow my own journey,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll continue to do that, in as much of a respectful manner as possible, obviously,
Yes.
and with as much compromise as possible,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. So, yeah.
I think that's been the biggest victory in all of it. You
Mm.
know, has been handling things as this community has.
Yeah.
You know, with such respect. And do you think it surprised whichever maybe administrators or representatives when you decided to say, okay, you know, we'll compromise here, we'll compromise there? Were they expecting that, do you think, or?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I really think that the image that had been portrayed about us
Yes.
was so negative, that within the system, at least, because the people in the system, they're not bad people.
Mhm.
They're just normal, everyday people who mean well, who are doing their jobs. So when I talk about the system being either corrupt or not right, I'm not talking about the people who work in the system. I'm talking about the structure of it.
Correct.
But most people, 99% of the people who work in the system, are everyday, beautiful, great people doing their jobs,
Yeah.
who truly believe in what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they do some of those things that I think are questionable,
Yes.
like coming to invade a community of, you know, 10, 15 people
Mm-hmm.
with guns and 100 of you, and, you know, to me, I'm like, who does that? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
But when I put myself in their shoes, you know, they're in fear,
Uh-huh.
because they're hearing something and they're seeing something, and they feel that there's a need for them to protect something, whether it's protect their country because they think maybe we're coming here to take over the country with some sort of, I don't know, guerrilla group,
Yeah.
or whether it's because they think that we're harming children or women,
Mm-hmm.
which was some of the allegations, that women and children are in danger here, or whether they think that I'm some sort of monster or something
Mm-hmm.
that is doing something to people,
Yep.
and imprisoning people. So when they have that in their mind, you can understand why they would come with so much force and so much aggression,
Mm-hmm.
because they're in fear.
Yes.
Yeah, deep down inside, even though it comes out as strength and whoa, you know,
Yes.
it's really fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they match that fear with their actions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm never angry. I'm in total forgiveness. You know, in hindsight, I have no grudges or anything. But to answer your question, yeah, absolutely. I do feel like I felt there was an expectation for us to behave a certain way
Yes.
throughout this process,
Mm-hmm.
for us to do certain things, for us to act unlawfully, for us to be in resistance in a negative way,
Mm-hmm.
and for us to not be reasonable, you know. So I think many of these people in the institutions quickly realize that we are reasonable people. We're
Mhm.
not unreasonable people. We're actually very reasonable. We're actually very level-headed.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually very mindful about what we're doing and why we're doing it. We actually do have a strong conviction, and we actually genuinely are lawful people in as
Mhm.
much as we are embodying our own sovereignty as well. You know, so yeah, it's been a good process to show the system itself that, or the people in the system, not the system, but the people working in the system,
Yes.
that they have nothing to fear,
Mm-hmm.
that we are not dangerous people, that I'm not a dangerous man, certainly,
Mm-hmm.
that we are genuinely on this journey of self-discovery, and we are doing our best with the resources and the knowledge that we have
Mm-hmm.
to carve out our own reality, our own world, because the world out there, I don't fit into it anymore. I don't feel like I belong to that world anymore.
No.
There are many things about that world that I can't be in that world.
Mm-hmm.
And you have two choices then. One is you stay in that world
Mm-hmm.
and you just go through it, in which case you end up becoming depressed, as
Yep.
most people are in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So much suicide right now. You
Mhm.
become helpless. That's one way to go.
Mhm.
And many people are going down that route: depression, suicide, family breakups,
Yep.
you know, just mental health issues. And I'm not going to take that route. That's not an option for me at all.
Yes.
I've been down there before, in the past, before I began this journey. I'm not going back down there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other path is to fight. People protesting in the streets and shouting at governments and wanting to fight and build, some sort of resistance to try and topple this and point fingers at these people. It's the World Economic Forum, it's the UN, it's the
Yes.
government, it's the Prime Minister. Again, it's not a space that I think is healthy, at
Mhm.
least for me.
Mm-hmm.
So if those two things are not an option, the only option left is for you to remove yourself from it
Yep.
and to start your own paradigm
Mhm.
and to try and do your own thing in your own space and in your own time.
Okay.
So that's the core of what Pineal really is all about.
Mhm.
It's not so much about fighting anything. We're not in resistance or fighting or trying to win against the system.
Mhm.
We want to work with the system. I've always said
Yes,
this.
you have.
We actually want to work with the system.
Yes.
We actually want to integrate ourselves into the system.
Yes.
But we want to have the right to autonomy and self-determination.
Yes.
We want to have the right to be able to decide for ourselves what we put in our bodies,
Mhm.
how we have futures or children, as people know them,
Yep.
how we have our children, how we raise them, what we feed them, what medications we give them.
Mhm.
When people transcend or pass away, how we deal with all of that.
Yes.
So we want to have that that autonomy, but we know that will come with time, and we've got to be a bit more patient.
Yep.
But we've began that process of walking the walk,
Yes.
and we've had to compromise and come back a bit, and that's okay,
Yes.
to build a bit of trust with the system, so to speak,
Mhm.
and with the society around us. And once that trust is reestablished over time, then those doors will reopen and we will be able to establish that vision of true autonomy and self-determination.
Yes.
And it might take 5 years, it might take 10 years, it might take 1 year, it might take 1 month, it might happen next month, it might take a lifetime. It might not happen in this lifetime. But as they say, Rome wasn't built in a day,
That's it.
and it was the greatest empire this world has ever known. So here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's the short-term sacrifice for the long-term gain. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. And that's with everything in life,
It
really.
is.
Easy come, easy go. The harder you have to work for something, the more you appreciate it, the more gratitude you have for it,
Mm-hmm.
and the more you look after it.
Mm-hmm.
After going through all of this here at Pineal, there is no way we're going to disrespect the name of this community.
Right.
Otherwise, all of that was for nothing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the more tribulations and trials that we have as a community, the more responsible we feel towards the vision
Mm-hmm.
and towards what we represent.
Yes.
The more responsible we feel towards how we present ourselves to people,
Mm-hmm.
because now the eyes are watching you, the world is watching you,
Yeah.
the communities around you are watching you. So we must behave honorably.
Mm-hmm.
We must behave in an exemplary way,
Mm-hmm.
responsibly, and that's the journey. That's really the spiritual practice. It's that accountability.
Yes. So for the more energy, the more awareness, the more eyes on you, however it may come, the more responsibility you have to uphold
Absolutely.
that
Absolutely.
tenets.
Yes,
Yeah. Wow.
and it's also great because really, what Pineal stands for, which is really equity,
Mm-hmm.
equal. That's the law that we truly embody. The law of equity, common law in equity,
Yes.
where everyone's equal.
Yes.
Yeah, where we all share resources, we
Mhm.
all share our time, we all share our knowledge, we all share our ideas, and as a community, we distribute all of those things
Yep.
amongst each other in an equitable way.
Mm-hmm.
The world out there doesn't work on equity. It
Mm-mm.
acts on it works on capitalism.
Yes.
Puts the individual first,
Mhm.
me first. I must make my own money. I.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's always a positive and a negative. There must always be a winner. There must always be a loser.
Yes.
There must always be the rich. There must always be the poor.
Mhm.
The intelligent. They're not so intelligent. The educated. They're not educated. Those with good jobs. Those with not good jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the world that is out there. When we say the system, that's
Yes.
how the system has been built.
Mm-hmm.
And we're saying that system for us does not resonate anymore.
Exactly.
We want to be in a system that operates on equity and common law, which is an actual law that exists even within the system structure.
Right.
And this is what the World Economic Forum, believe it or not, is promoting. You know, now I'm not saying I support the World Economic Forum. I'm not against it, and neither do I support it, because I don't know what the alternative motives might be. But what I'm saying is, what they are presenting to the world, this great reset, this new world order they're talking about, is actually based on common law in equity. You will own nothing and be happy.
Yes.
That's literally what common law in equity means.
Yes.
That everyone doesn't own anything because everyone owns everything.
Yes.
It's not one person who owns
Yes.
this. It's we all own it and we all share it and we're all happy.
That's it.
Right? So I can see what people are going to say when they watch this and say, yes, but the World Economic Forum, what they're saying is a small group of elites will own everything,
Right.
and the rest of us
Yep.
will rent it out. And perhaps that's the case. So perhaps Pineal will be the more organic version of common law in equity, where there isn't one person who owns everything.
Right.
We genuinely all share that responsibility.
Wow. Absolutely. And being here in this community too, it really feels, yes, everything is shared, but and everyone is equal, but everyone's also individual as well. And that's probably the best part of it, you know? So
That's really, really important, that individuality. You know?
Yes.
So being in an equal society, working in equity and common law doesn't mean that you give up your individual sovereignty or your individuality.
yes.
You know, it's really important for everyone to be sovereign within their own right. So your own home, what you do in your home is you.
Yeah.
You know, how you build your home, what home you choose to live in, what foods you choose to eat, where you choose to live, how you choose to live.
Yes.
You know, that's your business, even within the community.
Yeah.
Of course, there are certain boundaries, you know, for food, for instance. You
Yes.
know, no animal products.
Exactly.
But outside of that, there are people who are just eating fruit. Good for you. You do that. And there are people who are eating chocolate and bread and potatoes that other people might go, oh, I wouldn't eat that.
Yep.
Oh, that's you. You do that.
Exactly.
So that's where the individuality is. But where the collectiveness is when we need to buy food or when we need to grow food, we all pull in together and we say, right, what are you eating? I eat fruit, I eat chocolate.
Yes.
So out of this money, we're going to buy some fruit for you and
Yep.
some chocolate for you,
Yeah.
you know, but we all share what's on the table. And that's what we're striving for and building at. And it's not perfect. It's a learning process. And many people who've been here will tell you that, you know, as much as we've preached that in the past, it's not always materialized as healthily, I
Yep.
guess.
Yep.
But because it's new, we've never done it before. We're trying something absolutely new from no. We've come from a system that goes against that type of
Yes.
mindset.
Yes.
You know, that is almost afraid of that type of mindset. And that's okay. That's okay too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as everything unfolds this year with all that's going on, those who may find themselves in an environment that is more negatively charged or protesting and all this revolutionary energy, what is your best advice for them?
I wouldn't really have advice for anyone.
Okay.
I mean, everyone should do exactly what they feel like they need to do.
Yeah.
You know, there are some souls who've come to earth to protest and to do that, and they're doing something. They're there to topple the system that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's good for them. That's their journey. It's not for me. It's not something I want to be doing.
Right.
I don't want to be going in the streets and, you know, vandalizing things and, you know, creating chaos and disturbance. That's not my role in my journey personally. So I can speak for myself.
Yes.
What I will say is, if there are people who are watching who don't resonate with the idea, with the system as it is, and are feeling more alienated
Yes.
by where the world is going and what is happening in the world, and you don't see protesting and fighting and being a revolutionary in that way as an option,
Yep.
neither do you see going into depression and becoming suicidal and mental health and all of those things as an option, and you want to actually put energy into building something new, then we are one of many
Yes.
options for that over time. We are one of many communities or families, organizations that people can come and visit,
Mm-hmm.
can reach and contact, and we can share ideas and information, experiences, and possibly come and join us,
Yes.
you know, in full knowledge, obviously, of the task that is at hand, because it's not, even though what we're doing isn't revolutionary in the sense of being aggressive,
Exactly.
it can be seen as aggressive in a more passive way.
Yeah.
So you've got to be very strong emotionally
Mm-hmm.
to stay centered when the aggression comes at you, because, you know, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anything else you'd like to share going forward as we close this chapter? You complete
Yeah,
this portal?
I'm just giving thanks. I'm just giving thanks. You know, exactly 6 months since this began, almost to the day in 3 days' time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, full moon. So yeah, just giving thanks. You know, the girls are back home. You know, the process is going really well, and onwards and upwards. 2024, 2025 is an exciting time for us. For me
Absolutely.
personally, I'm super excited. Whatever happens,
Yeah.
I'm super excited,
Me
and I'm
too.
grateful for the experiences that I've had,
Me too.
and the lessons,
Awesome.
and the growth,
Mm-hmm.
and the future.
Yeah. Incredible. We'll
Yeah.
give so much thanks.
Yeah, give thanks, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in, and I'm sure you'll see more of us in the few weeks, where we'll continue to update you on where we're at and what we're doing, and sharing our journey as we go. But thank you for the continued support and the love that you've shown us. Give thanks.
Give thanks.
Reignite your thoughts. Your principles can't be exhausted unless you stuff out the thoughts that feed them, for it's continually in your power to reignite new ones. It's possible to start living again, see things anew as you once did. What is how to restart life? Have you had a bad couple of weeks? Have you been drifting away from the principles and beliefs that you hold dear? It's perfectly fine. It all happens to all of us. But the reminder here is that no matter what happens, no matter how disappointing our behavior has been, in the past, the principles themselves remain unchanged. We can return and embrace them at any moment. What happened yesterday, what happened 5 minutes ago, is the past. We can reignite and restart whenever we like. Why not do it right now? wherever you go, there your choices is. A pudding and a prison is each a place, one high and the other low. But in either places, in your freedom of choice can be maintained if you so wish. The Stoics all held vastly different situations in life. Some were rich, some were born at the bottom of Rome's rigged hierarchy. Hierarchy. Some had it easy, others had it unimaginably hard. This is true for all of us as well. Our own lives we experience, both of good fortune and bad fortune. But in all circumstances and misery or advantage, we really have just one thing we need to do. Focus on what is in our control. As opposite to what is not right, now we might be laid low with struggles, whereas just a few years ago we might have lived high on the hog, and just a few days we might be doing so well that success is actually a burden. One thing will stay consistent: our freedom of choice, both in the big picture and the small picture. Ultimately, this is clarity. Whoever we are, wherever we are, what matters is our choices. What are they? How will we evaluate them? How will we make the most of them? Those are the questions life asks us, regardless of our situation. How will you answer?
Beautiful, beautiful. You see the word that you said, was it opposite? Where is it? Let me just have a look.
Opposite or opposed said.
Opposed. That's what it says, yes. So read that sentence one more time so you understand
Opposed.
it. Read the sentence and then just so you can...
But in all circumstances, adversity or advantage...
Adversity.
Yes. Or advantage, we really have to do what is not right. Now we might be laid low with struggles.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, did I just skip this whole line? Yeah, I did.
That's all right, start again, it's not a problem.
But in all circumstances, adversity or advantage, we really have just one thing we need to do. Focus on what is in our control, as opposed to what is not right.
As opposed to what is not. That's a full stop.
What is not.
Okay, and then it goes into the next one. Okay, beautiful. And did you understand what you read there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how does it relate? Can you give me an example of your life, how it relates, or just give me an example of the situation or whatever you may feel, or just tell me something about it that you understand what it means.
That there will be ups and downs.
Yes. And what's important when there's ups and downs? What matters?
To always bring it back to the breath.
And
Always control your
Pardon?
choices. Control your choices.
That's right. So there are some things we're not in control of, And what we need to really focus on, and only focus on, are the things we are in control of, okay? So sometimes that can be our reactions, the way we react to things, because it can be totally different circumstances of events that happen after a situation, depending on how you react to the present situation, as you're aware of, right? So yes, well done. Give thanks. And what day was that?
That was January the 19th.
And can you tell the people what book this is?
The Daily Stoic.
Okay.
366 Meditation on Wisdom, Perseverance, and the Art of Living.
Beautiful. And how's the book going for you so far?
Good.
Yeah. What do you like about it?
It's very truthful.
Only based off experience though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well done. Beautiful. So today you have,
Football training.
well, they look like chickpeas. I'm not actually too sure what they are, but I found them. I was like, let me just try them. So I soaked them overnight, mixed that up with some vegetables, put my seasoning in there, and then you got pancakes for the dessert, and then obviously you can have fruits, okay? So now let me just do your fruits, how to start your day. Give thanks for, right?